Imagine this, an incredibly complex machine crafted in 87 BC, yet only discovered in 1901. This is the legendary Antikythera Mechanism. In 1901, off the coast of Antikythera Island, Greek diver Elias Statiotis surfaced unexpectedly, gasping about an astonishing sight at the seabed, a mysterious bronze hand reaching up from the deep Mediterranean sands. As archaeologists retrieved the heavily corroded metal mass from the ancient shipwreck, they had no idea they were holding a 2,000-year-old computer. This wasn't just a simple calculator, it was a computer with a gear system so intricate that no other device would rival it for the next 1,400 years. Initially, the object seemed unremarkable, just another ordinary fragment from an ancient Roman ship, estimated to date from 70 to 60 BC. However, by 1902, archaeologist Valerio Stice discovered an unusual detail, a metal gear firmly embedded within the object's rock-hard incrustation. For the next 7 decades, this mysterious machine lay dormant in storage, while scholars endlessly debated its true nature. It wasn't until 1974, when Derek de Solla Price published his groundbreaking research in Scientific American, that the world truly understood the object they were looking at. By 2005, the Antikythera Mechanism research project employed advanced X-ray CT scanning technology to explore the internal structure of the heavily corroded bronze mass. And what they discovered completely changed perceptions. The device contained at least 30 intact bronze gears, possibly up to 37, and was originally inscribed with over 3,500 characters of detailed text. Each gear tooth was cut with sub-millimeter precision, meshing together with astonishing perfection, even after 2,000 years submerged deep beneath the sea. However, what astonished engineers wasn't just the exquisite craftsmanship, but also the timeless design. This machine utilized a complex differential gearing system. Specifically, it featured a planetary gear system, a mechanical technique that wouldn't be reinvented until the 16th century in European clockmaking. This machine was capable of calculating the positions of celestial bodies with incredible accuracy. The dials on the front displayed details of the Greek zodiac and the ancient Egyptian calendar. Meanwhile, the dials on the back meticulously tracked the 19-year Metonic cycle and the 76-year Calippic cycle. It could also accurately predict solar and lunar eclipses by applying the Saros cycle, a period spanning 223 months. Even more astonishingly, the machine could even calculate the moon's irregular elliptical orbit. In 2002, Michael Wright successfully constructed a complete, working replica of the machine. As he turned the crank, the bronze gears began to move rhythmically, precisely recalculating celestial events, just as they once appeared in the ancient Mediterranean sky. In 2006, a groundbreaking discovery unveiled a secret from the past. Tony Freeth's team, using 3D X-ray tomography, found over 2,000 hidden characters deep within the technical inscriptions of an ancient artifact, much like an instruction manual from millennia ago. These groundbreaking discoveries were subsequently published widely in the prestigious scientific journal Nature. This was no mere decorative object. The machine possessed complex functions, astonishing sophistication, and was crafted with mathematical precision, comparable to today's most advanced engineering achievements. The widely accepted explanation is quite simple. The ancient Greeks possessed superior astronomical knowledge and master-level bronze craftsmanship. This mechanism stands as a testament to the pinnacle of Hellenistic engineering, created by a master well-versed in Hipparchus's mathematical astronomy and the intricate computational methods of the Babylonians. Indeed, it was incredibly sophisticated, yet still within the known capabilities of the ancient Greeks. The problem is, this remains the only surviving example to this day of a tradition of creating similar instruments, yet strangely, no other artifact of comparable complexity appeared in archaeological records for the next 400 years. There was no trace of any intermediate developmental stages, no simpler prototypes, and no ancient texts mentioning devices of such complexity. Even when Islamic scholars in Baghdad crafted astronomical instruments in the 9th century, they showed no knowledge of differential gearing mechanisms. It wasn't until 1575 that European clockmakers were able to reinvent this mechanism. The gap in time and technology is utterly incredible. Imagine, it's as if someone created a smartphone during the age of the abacus, and then all that knowledge vanished without a trace, only to be rediscovered from scratch over a millennium later. Some researchers have quietly whispered that the Antikythera Mechanism isn't merely the product of a singular genius, but rather implies a lost technological tradition, a civilization far more advanced than we ever knew. The absolute precision of the gears, the mathematical sophistication, and the miniaturization engineering all serve as clear evidence of a well-established industry dedicated to producing such complex devices. If only this one machine miraculously survived a shipwreck by chance, then how many other similar machines must have been created? And if all knowledge of this technology vanished without a trace, what other secrets of humanity have been forever lost to oblivion? This enigmatic machine has posed a perplexing question, leaving historians to ponder endlessly. What if humanity's path of progress isn't a straight line, but a series of rises and falls? What if civilizations once reached dazzling peaks of technical achievement, only to completely collapse, leaving us with nothing but a solitary bronze gear, forever wondering how many other great mysteries have been permanently submerged beneath the sea, pulled from a challenging past? If you've ever been amazed by the deep mysteries of the ocean, join us to explore something far more extraordinary, hidden beneath the soil of China, the legendary Longyu Grottos. In June 1992 in Longyu County, Zhejiang Province, China, a farmer had a bold idea: to drain a pond that villagers had long rumored to be bottomless. As the water gradually receded, an astonishing sight emerged: exquisitely carved stone steps hidden underground, leading deep into the profound darkness. Archaeologists quickly arrived and were stunned by an illogical discovery: an entire, massive underground city, carved entirely by hand from solid mudstone, yet completely absent from all historical records. To date, a total of 24 grottos have been discovered, spanning an area of up to 5 acres. The largest grotto alone covers an impressive 320 square meters. Chambers follow one another, some with ceilings soaring up to 30 meters high, all meticulously carved from the intact bedrock. Stepping inside, you can't help but be awestruck by the grandeur and incredible scale of this construction. Exquisitely carved pillars firmly support the entire massive ceiling, while the chambers are intricately connected by a system of corridors, rooms, and ventilation shafts. What's astonishing is that all walls are uniformly angled at 45 degrees, the pillars stand perfectly straight without a single deviation, and all chambers are arranged with perfect symmetry. Every rock surface bears uniform parallel chisel marks, forming consistent patterns, interspersed with decorative carvings of fish and birds deeply etched into the rock face. Technical analysis reveals an astonishing fact: an estimated 1 million cubic meters of rock were excavated entirely by hand, creating an underground architectural complex spanning 30,000 square meters. This colossal volume of rock is equivalent to moving enough material to fill 400 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Based on toolmark analysis, scientists estimate these grottos were carved during the Han Dynasty, from 206 BCE to 220 CE, or possibly even earlier. With an age of over 2,000 years, Yang Hongxun from the Chinese Academy of Sciences has definitively stated that this is a magnificent architectural feat created by human hands. Geologist Jia Gang has completely dismissed the possibility of natural formation. He clearly asserts that they were constructed with a specific purpose. However, what truly baffles archaeologists is this: there is no trace whatsoever of the millions of tons of excavated rock debris, neither in the vicinity nor found anywhere else. 1 million cubic meters of colossal rock seems to have vanished into thin air, with no spoil heaps, no signs of burial, absolutely nothing. And perhaps even more perplexing, not a single mention of this magnificent structure has been found in any Chinese dynastic records, local chronicles, or any historical documents. This becomes even more incredible, given that China is a civilization renowned for meticulously documenting everything, from tax records to crop yields, throughout thousands of years of history. How could a massive architectural marvel, requiring thousands of laborers for many years, vanish without a trace from history? To solve the mystery, some popular theories suggest these caves might have been quarries or underground storage facilities. The lack of records could be explained by their military purpose, making them strictly guarded national secrets. Perhaps the excavated stone blocks were used to construct buildings that have now completely disappeared from history. The intricate detail reflects an organized labor process and the skilled craftsmanship of the stone carvers, an impressive feat, yet still considered within the capabilities of ancient Chinese people. However, the numbers don't add up. Even with the most conservative estimates, removing 1 million cubic meters of rock by hand would require a team of 1,000 workers toiling non-stop for 6 years. What's more, the neighboring villages never had a population large enough to supply and sustain such a massive workforce. If these colossal stone blocks were used for construction, then where are those structures now? And what about the tools used for the work? Have they vanished without a trace? Why are there intricate decorative fish carvings in a quarry? The uniform patterns throughout the cave chambers clearly indicate artistic intent, not mere quarrying marks. And even more perplexing, how could a meticulous civilization like China, which documented every major temple, palace, and city wall, remain completely silent about the excavation of such a massive underground city? After thorough research, some engineers have hypothesized that these caves are not quarries, but rather purposefully constructed works, possibly underground cities designed for protection or to serve mysterious rituals. The astonishing precision and sophistication suggest an advanced construction plan and superior mathematical knowledge. The absence of records could imply they predate known dynasties or were deliberately erased from history. Notably, some researchers have discovered strange similarities between these caves and many other mysterious underground structures across the planet, suggesting a lost tradition of subterranean architecture spanning countless cultures. Three key questions remain a mystery. Who organized and funded such a colossal project requiring thousands of laborers for many years? Where did the 1 million cubic meters of stone go? And why, throughout 2,000 years of Chinese historical records, is there not a single mention of this magnificent structure? The caves now stand isolated and empty, their silent walls bearing witness to an architectural marvel that history inexplicably has completely forgotten to record. If the mysterious caves in China were carved in absolute silence, then the planet's oldest temple was built in secret, a full 6,000 years before writing emerged to record its existence. The symbols on the stone pillars of Göbekli Tepe, the time 9600 BCE. Agriculture didn't exist yet. Cities were still 6,000 years away from being invented. Writing wouldn't appear for another 7,000 years, all on a barren hilltop in southeastern Turkey. It was prehistoric hunter-gatherers who painstakingly carved the most sophisticated megalithic temple humanity would build for the next 6 millennia. In 1994, when German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt first saw the colossal T-shaped stone pillars emerging from the earth, he knew he had just uncovered something incredible. Not just because of its age, although 11,600 years old, it remains the oldest temple ever discovered on Earth, but because of what was carved on those stone pillars, an incredibly complex symbolic language, so deliberately arranged that it reveals organized religion, abstract thought, and cosmological knowledge existed thousands of years before we ever believed humans were capable of any of it. In 1963, a survey team from the University of Chicago stumbled upon a site, but mistakenly identified it as a medieval cemetery and overlooked it. Little did they know, this oversight concealed one of history's greatest mysteries. Fortunately, Schmidt saw through the misconception and recognized the true significance of this site. Using radiocarbon dating on organic material from the mortar, scientists determined that this structure was built between approximately 9600 and 8200 BCE. Notably, Layer 3, the oldest stratum, has been dated to between 9600 and 9000 BCE. Using ground-penetrating radar, it was discovered that at least 200 colossal stone pillars remain hidden underground. Astonishingly, less than 5% of the total site has been excavated to date. The discoveries unearthed so far have completely reshaped the history of human civilization. These colossal T-shaped stone pillars stand up to 5.5 meters tall, each weighing between 10 and 20 tons. They were carved from a quarry 100 meters away, using only rudimentary stone tools. To date, archaeologists have identified 20 surrounding circular structures. The largest surrounding structure, designated as D, boasts an impressive diameter of up to 20 meters. What's particularly striking is that over 200 intricate bas-reliefs have been meticulously carved onto these stone pillars. Prominently featured are images of foxes and wild boars, as well as animals like snakes, scorpions, vultures, and spiders. Cranes and wild ducks also make an appearance. Significantly, abstract symbols are also depicted interspersed among them. These include H symbols, crescent shapes, circles, and notably mysterious mouthless human figures. Furthermore, intricately carved handprints have even been found on the bodies of these massive stone pillars. All of this creates an eerie sensation, as if these inanimate stones possess a living soul. One thing is certain, this magnificent structure could not have been created by simple farmers. Pollen analysis revealed a surprising truth. The area was filled only with wild grasses and weeds, with no trace of cultivated crops. Animal bones unearthed here belong solely to wild gazelles and majestic European aurochs, not to any domesticated species. They were nomadic hunter-gatherer tribes, believed to have no permanent settlements whatsoever. With no metal tools and no written language, they organized a massive workforce, capable of sustaining hundreds, even thousands, of laborers. They moved colossal stone blocks, each weighing up to 20 tons. Using rudimentary stone tools, they carved incredibly intricate symbols into the limestone. And even more astonishingly, they encoded profound knowledge within these very symbols. Clearly, the stone pillars were not decorated randomly. The same animal species appeared repeatedly across multiple surrounding enclosures, arranged with deliberate and specific intent. These surrounding enclosures were all precisely oriented according to the cardinal directions of a compass. And most notably, there is Pillar 43, famously known as the mysterious vulture stone. In 2017, a group of esteemed researchers from the University of Edinburgh published an in-depth analysis of the carvings on this stone pillar. Martin Sweatman and his colleagues proposed a bold hypothesis. Pillar 43 depicts an ancient star map, accurately recording a catastrophic comet impact event in 10,950 BCE. If this hypothesis is confirmed, it means the builders of Göbekli Tepe preserved knowledge of a devastating astronomical catastrophe that occurred up to 1,000 years before they began constructing this site. These were not mere shamanic rituals, but a sophisticated recording system. It was ancient astronomy, evidence of a civilization that passed down knowledge orally through generations, then carefully etched it permanently into stone. According to traditional interpretations, Göbekli Tepe is considered the cradle of organized religion, where hunter-gatherers first gathered to perform spiritual rituals rather than solely for survival. The carvings are believed to be shamanic symbols, totemic animals representing clans or spirits. The extraordinary effort to construct this site may have actually spurred the advent of agriculture to provide food for a large workforce. This was a revolutionary undertaking, yet it can still be interpreted as an inevitable outcome of increasingly developed hunter-gatherer societies on the cusp of the Neolithic Revolution. However, these symbols are too consistent, too deliberate, they cannot be random doodles. Prepare to be amazed. Thousands of years before metal appeared, the repetitive animal motifs, astronomical alignments, and extraordinary precision of the limestone carvings, crafted with only rudimentary stone tools, rivaled masterpieces made with metal chisels millennia later. Even more remarkably, around 8000 BCE, this entire site was deliberately buried, not to be destroyed, but to be preserved by being covered. Someone meticulously filled the surrounding spaces with debris, thereby preserving them intact for 11,000 years. The reason behind this act, perhaps to safeguard knowledge, to keep a secret hidden. While we may never uncover the full truth, that act clearly demonstrates this site held a significance profound enough to warrant preservation at all costs, even if it meant erasing it from the memory of generations. Some archaeoastronomers believe that Göbekli Tepe was not merely an architectural feat, but a repository encoding complex astronomical knowledge, tracking constellations, solstices, and significant cosmic events. The constantly repeating symbols. This could be an early writing system or a sophisticated mnemonic code designed to preserve valuable oral traditions. If this hypothesis is confirmed, it would prove that abstract symbolic thought, enduring cultural memory, and scientific observational capabilities were present in the Stone Age, forcing us to reevaluate our entire understanding of human cognitive evolution. Leaving behind the enigmatic stone symbols of Turkey, we continue our journey north to the frigid lands of Siberia. There, the hands of Stone Age people crafted an item that seemed impossible for its time, a piece of jewelry with a modern flair. The Denisova bracelet, dating back approximately 40,000 BCE. At that time, modern humans had only just begun their journey, spreading across the Eurasian continent. It would take another 35,000 years for the wheel to be invented. Deep within a cave in Siberia's majestic Altai Mountains, an ancient artisan meticulously polished a piece of chlorite stone to a mirror-like sheen, and drilled a hole through it with astonishing precision, a technique that today requires high-speed drills rotating at up to 20,000 RPM. In 2008, when Russian archaeologist Mikhail Shunkov unearthed this dark green bracelet from Denisova Cave, he mistakenly believed it was only a few hundred years old, perhaps from the Middle Ages. The polishing technique was too perfect, and the drill hole too incredibly precise. Then the dating results revealed a shocking truth. This artifact was 40,000 years old. It predates agriculture, predates pottery, and even predates woven textiles. a piece of jewelry from the Stone Age, yet it possesses a sophistication, as if it were crafted just yesterday. An enigmatic necklace, unearthed from Layer 11 of the East Chamber of Denisova Cave, a site that revealed secrets about the Denisovan hominins through DNA analysis in 2010, is now challenging all our understanding of ancient technology. In-depth studies using radioactive carbon isotopes and stratigraphy have dated this artifact, revealing its astonishing age of 40,000 to 50,000 years. Remarkably, the necklace is crafted from the mineral chlorite. This is a gemstone belonging to the jade family, whose origins can be traced back to quarries over 200 kilometers away from the cave. With a Mohs hardness scale rating of only 2 to 2.5, chlorite is an extremely soft stone, easily scratched even by a fingernail. And it is this very characteristic that creates an incredible paradox, making subsequent discoveries utterly inexplicable. On the necklace, a drilled hole with a diameter of 0.8 centimeters present, perfectly circular in shape, with a flawlessly smooth inner surface. Absolutely no cracks or signs of breakage were found. Through meticulous microscopic analysis conducted from 2015 to 2017, the necklace's surface revealed extremely uniform wear marks from polishing, creating a nearly perfect mirror-like reflectivity. In 2017, jeweler Irina Salnikov affirmed that this exquisite level of finish could only be achieved using modern machine polishing techniques. However, this is where the crucial point of contention lies. To understand the method used to create this drilled hole, Dr. Anatoly Derevyanko and his team at the Institute of Archaeology and Ethnography conducted an experimental archaeological study. Their research results were truly shocking. To drill such a hole in soft chlorite without causing it to shatter, an extremely high drilling speed of 18,000 to 20,000 revolutions per minute was required. If the speed were slower, the stone material would immediately crumble into many pieces. Uneven pressure would cause internal stress cracks. Only an extremely rapid rotational movement could evenly dissipate heat and pressure, allowing for a perfect and flawless drill through chlorite. Yet the bow drill, the earliest rotary drilling technology known to humankind, only emerged around 10,000 BCE. Even the most advanced manual drills of that era could only achieve a maximum speed of about 600 revolutions per minute. One widely accepted explanation is that Upper Paleolithic people, or Denisovans, possessed sophisticated stoneworking skills far beyond what we previously imagined. The drilling process might have been conducted extremely slowly, using sand as an abrasive material with a drill made of bone or wood, lasting for weeks, even months. This perfect polish is a testament to extraordinary patience when working with fine abrasive materials. It is indeed an incredible feat of craftsmanship, but not entirely beyond the capabilities of ancient humans. A 40,000-year-old mystery awaits a solution. This is the most perfectly preserved evidence of Stone Age craftsmanship humanity has ever found, a masterpiece that defies all modern understanding. Yet every attempt to recreate this bracelet using only Stone Age technology has met with complete failure. Even the most skilled modern artisans, armed with bone drills, sand, and infinite patience, cannot create a smooth, flawless hole in chlorite stone without shattering it. Calculations regarding drilling speeds are not baseless conjecture. They are built upon a solid foundation of material science. The brittle nature of chlorite stone means that slow drilling would inevitably create stress fractures. The calculations have proven undeniable, and the bracelet's polish is not merely impressive. It achieves a reflective quality, demanding abrasive materials and sophisticated techniques entirely absent from the Stone Age toolkit. Some researchers have subtly suggested that this bracelet is evidence of a lost technology, perhaps a foot-powered or gravity-driven rotary device capable of achieving incredibly high speeds. Meanwhile, others point to the Denisovans themselves, a hominin species about whom we know almost nothing, identified only through DNA and a mere handful of bone fragments. If they truly authored this masterpiece, then how far did their other capabilities extend? The bracelet was discovered alongside bone needles with eyes, clear evidence of clothing manufacture, all pointing to an incredibly advanced material culture. This artifact could symbolize a technological tradition that vanished forever when the Denisovans became extinct or were assimilated by Homo sapiens around 30,000 years ago. 4 perplexing questions continue to haunt researchers. How was this hole created in the soft stone without shattering it? What kind of tool could achieve an astonishing drilling speed of 20,000 revolutions per minute 40,000 years ago? Why is this the only known example of such incredibly advanced Stone Age craftsmanship? And did the Denisovans achieve advanced technological prowess in ways we still cannot fully comprehend? Leaving behind the incredible drilling mystery in Siberia, we'll now fly west to an island nestled in the heart of the Mediterranean, where someone created a timeless technology, one that wouldn't be reinvented for another 3,700 years, movable type printing, exemplified by the legendary Phaistos disc. It was discovered in 1908, but the artifact's age dates back as far as 1700 BCE. While Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier was excavating the Minoan palace of Phaistos on the island of Crete, he stumbled upon a 16-centimeter diameter clay disc, densely covered with mysterious spiral symbols. What's remarkable is that the Phaistos disc wasn't handwritten, it was printed. Let's delve into an ancient mystery. 241 unique symbols, individually stamped onto wet clay, formed the earliest evidence of movable type printing in the world, a technology millennia ahead of its time. Although the Gutenberg Bible wouldn't employ a similar technique for another 200 years, astonishingly, we remain completely in the dark about its content, author, or purpose. Incredibly, this advanced technology appeared only once, then vanished into oblivion for 3 long millennia. Archaeologist Pernier discovered this artifact on July 3, 1908, hidden in the basement of the Palace of Phaistos, within a stratigraphic layer dating from the 17th to 16th centuries BCE, corresponding to the Middle Minoan III period. The Phaistos disc was found alongside Linear A clay tablets, a Minoan writing system that remains an undeciphered mystery to this day. This precious artifact is on display at the Heraclean Archaeological Museum, where it has defied over 100 decipherment attempts since its discovery. Sadly, all have been unsuccessful. While a few skeptics still question the possibility of it being a modern forgery, both thermoluminescence dating and the archaeological context have unequivocally confirmed its authenticity. In fact, all evidence points to the exact opposite. On the disk's surface, we find 45 incredibly unique hieroglyphic symbols. They are arranged into 61 word groups, separated by vertical lines, and spiral clockwise from the outer edge to the center on both sides of the disk. These symbols depict a variety of images, such as human figures, animals, plants, tools, and complex geometric shapes. What truly makes this artifact revolutionary is that each symbol was stamped using individual, reusable dies, capable of being reused multiple times. Notably, the Running Man figure appears 19 times, while the shield symbol is found 13 times. This means that someone crafted a set of at least 45 individual stamps or types, an achievement predating Gutenberg's movable type technology by 32 centuries. To create those intricate stamps, it must have taken weeks of meticulous and skilled manual carving. No one would invest such immense effort and time just to produce a single one-off document. Although this technology clearly implies the purpose of printing multiple texts, the mystery is that we've only found this single disc, with no other stamped text whatsoever throughout 3 centuries of Minoan civilization. Furthermore, not a single similar example has been discovered across the entire Bronze Age Mediterranean region. This technology seemingly appeared fully formed, created this unique artifact, then vanished from the annals of history so mysteriously that it took 3,000 years for it to be reinvented from scratch. In 2014, Gareth Owen's statistical analysis proposed a syllabic writing system, possibly linked to Linear A. However, no definitive matches have been confirmed to date. Imagine an ancient mystery so profound it challenges all our knowledge, a language whose structure completely mismatches any known writing system ever found on Crete. In 1977, researcher Yves Duhoux undertook extensive and comprehensive studies on this issue. While published theories attempt to attribute this language to the Minoans, Luwians, or even pre-Greeks, none have been substantiated, and all remain the focus of intense debate. The most widely accepted theory posits that this disk could be a religious or administrative text of the Minoan civilization. Considering the Minoans already used seals extensively, adapting them to imprint texts wasn't a far-fetched idea. Most likely, these symbols represent a syllabic writing system closely linked to Linear A. The sole reason we've only found one such artifact is incredibly simple. Clay was frequently recycled, preventing most original texts from accumulating. This is a unique artifact, but not mysterious. It is simply a rare surviving fragment from the past. However, if stamping texts was common, why have we found no other stamped documents throughout the 3 glorious centuries of the Minoan civilization? Assuming this is an administrative document, why are its symbols completely different from Linear A, the writing system used for palace records? And even more puzzling, why would someone create 45 separate seals for a single, one-time use document? Such an elaborate investment would only make sense if the goal was to mass-produce texts. The absence of similar texts suggests three possibilities. They were either destroyed, made from perishable materials, or this disc truly holds a completely different meaning. Some epigraphists even argue that this disc doesn't belong to the Minoans. Its symbols are completely incompatible with any known Cretan writing system. A few other scholars hypothesize that this is an imported item from Anatolia or the Levant, representing an alien writing system never before documented by archaeology. Its unique spiral format and the deliberate repetition of some symbols have led many others to believe this is not a text, but perhaps a board game, a form of musical notation, or even a calendrical tool. The most profoundly controversial point is the printing technology implied by this disc, a conceptually revolutionary leap. Someone realized that reusable seals were fully capable of replicating information. A fundamental principle that humanity would only rediscover 3,000 years later with the invention of the printing press. So what is it after all, an ancient text, a calendrical tool, a recreational game, or a ritualistic artifact? We may never have a definitive answer, but one thing is undeniable. The manufacturing technology applied, the clay was expertly fired and hardened. From the enigmatic innovations that once flickered and vanished without a trace in Crete, we now journey across the ocean to Central America. There, a geometric marvel awaits, challenging all notions of purpose and craftsmanship, the mysterious giant stone spheres of Costa Rica. Though widely documented in 1940, these spheres had actually come to light 15 years prior. As workers cleared forests for banana plantations in Costa Rica's Diques Delta, they repeatedly stumbled upon massive granite blocks obstructing their path. It was only upon closer inspection that they made an astonishing discovery. These weren't natural rocks, but perfectly crafted spheres. Over 200 stone spheres, some weighing as much as 16 tons, lie scattered across the river valleys of southern Costa Rica, presenting a truly enigmatic spectacle. In the 1990s, when measured with cutting-edge laser scanning technology, researchers were astounded by an almost unbelievable truth. Many of these spheres achieved near-perfect roundness, with deviations of only a few millimeters across their entire diameter, which could reach up to 2.5 meters. There were no traces of advanced machinery or metal tools whatsoever. Armed only with crude stone hammers and an inexplicable obsession with perfection, the ancients achieved this incredible feat. It was Doris Stone who first officially documented their existence in 1943, amidst the United Fruit Company's extensive land-clearing operations. Samuel Lothrop, representing the Peabody Museum, initiated the first systematic study of these spheres in 1948. The majority of these spheres are believed to be products of the De Keyser culture, which existed between 500 and 15 AD. In 2014, UNESCO officially designated them as a World Heritage Site, recognizing the immense value of the pre-Columbian chiefdom settlements that feature these unique stone spheres. Advanced laser surveys conducted by John Hoops and his colleagues from the University of Kansas in the 1990s and 2000s unveiled an astonishing level of precision that continues to baffle even modern engineers. The sheer quantity alone is astonishing. Over 200 spheres have been officially documented, with initial estimates suggesting the total could well exceed 300. Their sizes vary considerably, with the smallest examples measuring just 10 centimeters in diameter. The majority of them are crafted from gabbro, an igneous rock with a Mohs hardness of 6 to 7. However, a few examples have also been discovered made from limestone and sandstone. The source quarry for the gabbro has been identified over 50 kilometers away, deep within the Talamanca Mountains. This implies that these massive stone blocks had to be painstakingly transported across challenging terrain before being meticulously carved into their spherical forms. However, what truly continues to perplex scientists is the extraordinary level of precision achieved in their creation. Laser scan results have revealed that, on the best preserved specimens, the deviation from a perfect sphere measures a mere 2 to 5 millimeters. Crafting a perfect sphere from granite using only rudimentary stone tools represents a geometric challenge that seems almost insurmountable. The largest sphere, boasting a diameter of up to 2.57 meters, remarkably maintains its perfect roundness, with a deviation of only 5 millimeters across its entire surface. Even modern sculptors, equipped with advanced power tools, would face considerable difficulty in achieving a comparable level of precision. Remarkably, these spheres are not found scattered randomly, but are discovered in deliberate, purposeful arrangements, forming distinct lines, triangles, and curves. What lies behind these strange alignments? Some point directly to the magnetic North Pole, while others seem to mark celestial positions. Clearly, these are not random occurrences or byproducts of any other process. They were created with a specific purpose. Ceramic findings, along with carbon dating, have confirmed that their creation took place during the Diki culture period. However, at archaeological sites, no stoneworking tools clearly associated with the creation of these spheres have been found. Not a single hammer, not a single chisel has been discovered, only the perfect finished products. The widely accepted hypothesis suggests that the Diki people crafted these spheres through controlled fracturing and pecking techniques. The shaping methods were perfected over generations, including heating the stone with fire, rapidly cooling it with water to create surface cracks, then using a harder stone hammer to chip away protrusions, and finally polishing it smooth with sand. To complete each sphere, this process could take years. This astonishing precision indicates an obsession with perfection and master craftsmanship passed down through generations. Their purpose could hold deep symbolic meaning, such as a sign of social status, territorial boundaries, or even cosmological significance. However, archaeological experiments have been unable to replicate that astonishing level of precision. Lothrop conducted experiments in 1963. Even modern sculptors have tried their hand with stone tools and fire, and the results are consistently crude spheres with uneven surfaces and asymmetrical shapes. To achieve an accuracy of just 5 millimeters on a granite sphere up to 2.5 meters in diameter requires a continuous process of measurement and adjustment. Yet the ancients had no calipers, no lasers, nor any means to precisely measure sphericity throughout the crafting process. How can you verify something you cannot measure? The big question remains, how did they know they had created a perfect sphere without measuring tools? Some engineers have hypothesized that the only feasible method might be to construct a giant spherical mold or structure and then grind the stone within it. However, to date, there is no evidence of the existence of such molds. Other researchers point to astronomical alignments, suggesting they might encode ancient navigational or astronomical knowledge. Do you believe in out-of-the-box explanations for ancient wonders? While theories about acoustic resonance or geopolymer materials sound intriguing, they lack convincing evidence and remain mere speculation, not archaeological science. Yet 4 mysteries continue to challenge our understanding. How could crude stone tools have created spheres of such near-perfect precision? Without sophisticated measuring instruments, how could ancient artisans have verified their perfect spherical shape? What purpose drove them to dedicate years of effort to each sphere? And why were many transported 50 kilometers from the quarry to their final resting places? Leaving behind the perfect spheres of Costa Rica, we journey to the ancient world, where a Mesopotamian invention may have generated electricity 2,000 years ago, long before Benjamin Franklin flew his kite. The Baghdad Battery, a sensational discovery in 1936. In 1936, while German archaeologist Wilhelm Koenig was cataloging artifacts at the Baghdad Museum, he noticed something unusual about a ceramic jar from a Parthian site. Inside the jar, a copper cylinder, an iron rod, and traces of an acidic substance were found. When Koenig published his shocking theory in 1938, archaeologists immediately dismissed it without hesitation. A 2,000-year-old battery? That sounds preposterous. However, in 1940, engineer Willard Gray built a replica based on Koenig's specifications, filled it with grape juice instead of vinegar, and measured an output voltage of 1.1 volts. The Baghdad Battery proved its effective functionality. The question wasn't whether it could generate electricity. Rather, did anyone 2,000 years ago actually know about and utilize that capability? Many similar jars were discovered between 1936 and 1938 at Kujut Rabu, an ancient Parthian village near Baghdad. These jars were dated to the Parthian period, which spanned from 150 BCE to 650 CE, with the highest probability falling between 250 BCE and 250 CE. In 1940, Willard Gray, an engineer at General Electric, successfully built a working replica, producing a voltage of 1.1 to 2 volts. In 2005, the show Mythbusters tested the battery theory and confirmed its ability to generate electricity. These artifacts are currently still preserved. At the National Museum of Iraq, although some artifacts were lost during the 2003 looting, their structure remains simple yet fully functional. What appears to be a simple fired clay pot standing just 13 centimeters tall actually conceals a copper cylinder measuring 9 centimeters by 2.6 centimeters, hinting at a timeless technological enigma. Within this copper cylinder, an iron rod is ingeniously positioned, completely isolated from the copper casing by a robust seal of bitumen or asphalt. By simply pouring an acidic liquid like vinegar, wine, or citrus juice into the copper cylinder and then inserting the iron rod, an immediate redox reaction takes place, generating a measurable voltage. Remarkably, this mechanism is entirely analogous to the operating principle of a modern battery, specifically a galvanic cell. If the Parthians had known that this device could generate electricity, their discovery would have preceded all recorded electrical experiments in history by 18 centuries. Conversely, if they were entirely unaware of this function, then this is truly the most accidental and mysterious battery ever created in human history. The chemical evidence gathered strongly reinforces the hypothesis of an intentional function rather than a mere accidental coincidence. Specifically, the inner copper cylinder exhibits clear signs of oxidation, entirely consistent with the corrosive effects of acid. The discovery of at least 12 similar jars in Kujutu, Rabu, and surrounding areas further confirms that this was a deliberately manufactured product, not a singular random coincidence. In 1940, a replica constructed by Gray successfully generated 1.1 volts of electricity. By 2005, the Mythbusters program conducted an experiment connecting 10 of these jars in series, yielding a total of 4 volts of electricity. However, a crucial point of contention remains. There is no documentation whatsoever, be it cuneiform texts, Parthian records, or any classical sources, that ever mentions the generation of electricity or battery-like devices. In 2012, Paul Craddock from the British Museum proposed an alternative hypothesis. These jars might have been used to store sacred scrolls, with the bitumen acting as an effective waterproof seal. While this is a fairly plausible alternative hypothesis, it fails to explain the peculiar combination of materials, which coincidentally creates an effective working battery. According to the most orthodox and widely accepted explanation, the purpose of these jars was to store ancient scrolls. In this view, copper and iron were merely components used incidentally, and their ability to generate electricity was simply a pure physical coincidence. Furthermore, ancient peoples are believed to have had no concept of electricity, no applications for it, and no means to detect or utilize this low-voltage current. However, despite these arguments, the theory of their use for electroplating has not faded away. In the 1970s, German Egyptologist Arne Eggebrecht demonstrated the feasibility of this hypothesis by successfully gold-plating a small silver statue, using a replica of the Baghdad Battery itself. With the ability to perform such processes lasting up to 10 hours, the Parthians were undoubtedly highly skilled metallurgists. Imagine an ancient civilization accidentally discovering electroplating technology simply from a mishap with fermenting wine and refining that technique without ever understanding the underlying physics. The existence of 12 nearly identical jars clearly demonstrates that this was a product intentionally crafted, not the result of mere chance. Assuming these jars were used for religious rituals, metal plating, or medical electroshock therapy, ancient texts also document therapeutic shocks from electric rays. Could these jars have been capable of replicating a similar effect? Some electrical engineers and archaeologists hypothesize that these batteries once powered small devices that have since vanished over time, perhaps for medical electroshock therapy, mystical energy displays in rituals, or even rudimentary signaling systems. The Parthians possessed sophisticated techniques in glassmaking, metallurgy, and chemistry. The accidental discovery of electrochemical reactions is not at all impossible. These batteries could be evidence of a form of empirical knowledge, never systematized into theory, a practical discovery that worked effectively, but whose cause no one could explain. The questions just keep piling up. If the Parthians truly knew these objects could generate electricity, then why are there no surviving records? Were these jars truly used for generating electricity, or was that function merely a coincidence? How many similar batteries were created, and could electroplating technology explain ancient gilding techniques previously believed to be fire gilding? We may never have the answers, but the jars stand tall in museums, silent witnesses to a possibility that seemed impossible for that era. They function perfectly when tested, defying all explanations whenever questioned. Leaving the electrical mystery of Mesopotamia behind, we dive deep into the waters off Japan, where the ocean floor might be concealing the remnants of a 10,000-year-old civilization, or simply the planet's most peculiar natural rock formation. The Yonaguni Monument, March 1987. Japanese dive tour operator Kihachiro Aratake was exploring the seabed off Yonaguni Island, Japan's westernmost point, when he discovered something that made him surface in astonishment and disbelief. A colossal rock structure emerged with sharp right angles, flat platforms, and what appeared to be intricately carved steps. The Yonaguni Monument lies deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, stretching over 150 meters. It features parallel walls, distinct geometric platforms, perfect right angles, and a rock formation dubbed the Turtle that looks exactly like a sculpted creature. While geologists suggest it's merely natural erosion of sandstone, marine archaeologists assert it's a submerged city. After more than 35 years of diligent research, no one has been able to provide conclusive evidence for either claim, making it one of the most fiercely debated underwater sites on the planet. Aratake's seemingly ordinary dive unveiled a startling mystery. Since 1992, Masaki Kimura, a marine geologist from Ryukyus University, has spearheaded extensive research to unravel it. Extensive geological analyses were carried out by Robert Schoch from Boston University during 1997 and 1998. The site is located directly on a tectonic plate boundary, an extremely sensitive seismic zone that frequently experiences underwater landslides. If this structure were indeed man-made, it would have been submerged deep beneath the sea, when water levels rose at the end of the last ice age, roughly 10,000 years ago. For 3.5 decades, the debate has raged on, with the scientific community still unable to reach any consensus. The main structure boasts impressive dimensions, 150 meters in length, 40 meters in width, and 27 meters in height. It features 5 distinct terraces, boasting perfectly flat surfaces, precise 90-degree angles, 2 parallel walls exactly 108 centimeters apart, and a consistent step height of approximately 1 meter. There are rectangular rock formations. Kimura highlighted what he believed were tool marks, quarrying traces, and carved symbols, but these claims were vehemently disputed by Schoch. Then there's the Turtle, a rock formation carved into the shape of an animal's head, which is incredibly difficult to explain as a product of natural erosion. However, the geological context strongly supports the hypothesis of natural formation. The structure is composed of sandstone, a type of rock that naturally fractures easily along bedding planes, thereby creating angular shapes. Similar formations can also be observed in nearby rock outcrops. If this area was above water 10,000 years ago, when sea levels were 40 meters lower, its age would date back to the Jomon period, or even earlier. However, there are no clear tool marks that are widely accepted by the scientific community. In this area, no mortar, no construction debris, and no other artifacts have been discovered. One compelling piece of evidence against a natural origin is the striking absence of loose rock fragments. Erosion should have left a substantial debris field at the base of the structure. So where have those fragments gone? What's truly astonishing is the incredibly uniform nature of the steps' angles. Kimura made a sensational claim about mysterious post holes, yet ironically the erosion marks perfectly align with the natural characteristics of sandstone. Meanwhile, researcher Wolf Wichmann conducted a series of meticulous deep-sea surveys, carefully documenting cracks that followed natural geological fault lines. These distinctive features can be entirely explained by powerful tectonic shearing and the relentless erosion caused by ocean waves. From a prevailing geological perspective, this entire structure is a completely natural masterpiece, shaped by intense tectonic activity and prolonged erosion along the characteristic bedding planes of sandstone. Sandstone inherently tends to fracture along parallel planes, naturally forming impressive stepped structures. Intense earthquakes in the region tore the rock mass along fault lines, inadvertently creating incredibly sharp right angles. The relentless erosion of ocean waves has smoothed the surfaces, giving them a sleek, polished appearance. It's noteworthy that similar structures are also found above the water in this very region. There are absolutely no clear tool marks, no mortar, no construction debris, and no artifacts found, compelling evidence that it was never crafted by human hands. Yet, even the renowned geologist Robert Schoch, after a thorough diving survey in 1997, had to concede that he had never witnessed a natural geological structure with such a distinctly architectural appearance. The perfectly parallel walls, the precise 180 centimeter spacing, the astonishingly uniform step heights, and especially the complete absence of debris at the base of the structure. If erosion caused the rocks to break and separate, then where did all the fragments mysteriously disappear? The turtle shape and countless other structures documented by Kimura prompt the question, are these intricate human carvings, or simply an unbelievable natural coincidence? Ultimately, Shaw concluded that the structure was primarily natural, but potentially modified by humans. This conclusion satisfied no one, as it failed to entirely rule out the possibility of human intervention. For 3 decades, marine archaeologist Masaki Kimura has steadfastly maintained that the Yonaguni Monument is a submerged ceremonial complex constructed between 10,000 and 12,000 years ago, possibly by the ancestors of the Jomon culture, Japan's earliest Stone Age inhabitants. He has pointed to what he identifies as traces of ancient quarrying activity, mysterious anchor stones, and clearly carved drainage channels. If these carved symbols are indeed real, Yonaguni would become a monument older than Göbekli Tepe, dating back to the end of the Ice Age, a discovery that would necessitate a profound reevaluation of Japan's entire prehistoric history. However, critics argue that Kimura's interpretations are highly subjective and have not garnered widespread consensus from the expert community. 4 crucial questions remain unanswered. If erosion created the steps by breaking off individual pieces of rock, then why are no fallen rock fragments found at the base of the structure? Can natural erosion truly account for the existence of perfectly parallel walls with an unbelievably precise 110 cm spacing? How could these stone blocks possess such incredibly perfect geometric shapes, completely unlike any natural formation, if they were indeed man-made? So, where did the related tools, artifacts, or construction fragments disappear to? Given its underwater location and unwavering stability, this monument makes both hypotheses about its origin equally implausible. Leaving behind the controversial underwater ruins in Japan, we journey to the majestic Andes of Peru, where the sophistication of stone masonry leaves even the most modern engineers utterly baffled. The unbelievably perfect stone joints at Sacsayhuaman. In 1536, the Spanish army laid siege to the city of Cusco, Peru. Just above the city, Inca warriors were firmly entrenched within Sacsayhuaman fortress. Despite the Spanish having cannons, 500 years later, these walls remained solid and unyielding, having withstood countless earthquakes that devastated the Spanish colonial structures. To this day, these walls still stand proudly, with multi-ton stone blocks perfectly interlocked, creating joints so tight that not even a thin sheet of paper can be slipped through. At Sacsayhuaman, the largest stone block weighs a colossal 200 tons. With 12 angles, this block fits absolutely perfectly with adjacent blocks, leaving no gaps whatsoever. What's astonishing is that there's no mortar. Instead, thanks to extraordinary precision, the irregular polygons interlock tightly in 3 dimensions. This structure is like a mysterious puzzle crafted by the gods, and every engineer who studies it arrives at the same conclusion. Even with modern technology, this would be a monumental challenge. With crude tools like bronze chisels and stone hammers, it should have been utterly impossible. Construction took place from 1438 to 1471 AD, during the reign of Emperor Pachacuti. According to the writings of Secretary Pedro Sancho Pizarro, these stone blocks were so enormous that no one believed they could have been placed by human hands. In the 1860s, systematic research was initiated by archaeologists, including Ephraim Squire. The fortress bravely withstood the Great Earthquake of 1650, a time when Cusco was heavily damaged, yet Sacsayhuaman remained perfectly intact. Even in 1950, when other modern structures collapsed, the fortress stood firm and unscathed. In 1983, UNESCO designated this structure as a World Heritage Site. How were these magnificent ancient structures erected? Even modern technical analyses by Jean-Pierre Pratzen from the University of California, Berkeley in the 1980s and 1990s strive to unravel these enigmatic construction methods. Each colossal andesite block, weighing between 50 and 200 tons, presented an extraordinary challenge. Remarkably, the largest stones even reached heights of up to 9 meters. What's astonishing is that the gaps between the stones were a mere 0.5 to 1 millimeter, with absolutely no mortar used. Each block was meticulously crafted into an irregular polygon, featuring 6 to 12 facets on each face, interlocking perfectly with a single adjacent block in 3-dimensional space. Stretching 540 meters long and standing 18 meters high, these 3-tiered walls are a testament to a colossal stonework technique that far surpassed all conventional engineering limits. Thanks to the tight interlocking of its stone blocks, this fortress has resiliently withstood countless devastating earthquakes, while everything around it was flattened. The clearest proof came in 1986, when another major earthquake devastated the region. Modern buildings crumbled, yet Sacsayhuaman stood proudly intact. In 1985, Pratzen conducted experimental archaeology, attempting to recreate the structure using the Inca's own crude stone tools. Although he achieved a rudimentary level of interlocking, he still couldn't replicate the absolute precision displayed by the ancient structures. Some stone blocks still bear traces of impacts, suggesting they were shaped by a stone-on-stone hammering method. Despite evidence of using fire to crack stones, it's astonishing that the Incas had no wheeled vehicles, no draft animals, no iron tools, and no systems of mechanical advantage whatsoever. The nearest andesite quarry, Rumacola, was located a staggering 35 kilometers from the site. Transporting stones weighing up to 200 tons across rugged mountainous terrain without wheels, pulleys, or iron tools remains an unsolved mystery. Recent 3D scans conducted by Peruvian-Japanese research teams have confirmed the astonishing precision, but still offer no explanation for the construction methods. The most widely accepted explanation is that the Incas were master stonemasons who continuously refined their techniques over centuries. They skillfully used harder stones like quartz and hematite as hammers to peck and shape the softer andesite, a process known as pecking. Their stone-fitting process was based on meticulous trial and error, first roughly shaping a block, then lowering it into position, marking misaligned points, lifting it out, chipping away the marked sections, and repeating this cycle until a perfect fit was achieved. In fact, using irregular polygonal shapes was actually easier than rectangular blocks, because small errors could be corrected by adjusting the next cut. Although this process was slow, potentially taking months for each block, the final result was incredibly effective and durable. An enigma that defies all logic. Despite his best efforts, Pratzen was unable to replicate that astonishing precision. After months of painstaking stone carving, he could only produce crude joints, utterly incomparable to the hair-thin, exquisite fit of Sacsayhuaman. Moreover, the trial and error hypothesis becomes entirely implausible when considering the geometric complexity of these structures. Each colossal stone block, weighing up to 200 tons, would have needed to be repeatedly lifted and lowered. This process would have required dozens of repetitions to refine the joints, all without the aid of cranes, pulleys, or wheels. Continuously moving a 200-ton stone block up and down using ramps would necessitate a colossal engineering infrastructure, for which there is no archaeological evidence whatsoever. Astonishingly, the stones fit perfectly on the very first placement, indicating an incredibly precise pre-measurement process. Yet, the Inca possessed neither a writing system nor written architectural blueprints. Some engineers hypothesize that the Inca utilized advanced techniques that have since been lost. Local legends recount the use of extracts from the Joshua plant said to soften stone like clay, but these claims remain scientifically unverified. Other researchers propose that the Inca employed sound or vibration-based methods to verify joint precision without the need for repeated placements. Still other researchers highlight three-dimensional interlocking techniques as proof of superior geometric knowledge, passed down orally through master stonemasons. Tragically, this invaluable knowledge was lost when the Spanish executed skilled artisans during their conquest. Why is this absolute precision found exclusively at Inca royal sites like Sacsayhuaman and Ollantaytambo, and not in ordinary constructions? How were irregular 200-ton polygonal stone blocks fitted with millimeter precision using only rudimentary stone tools? What method enabled them to pre-calculate intricate, complex angles without the aid of written mathematics? How were 200-ton stone blocks transported 35 kilometers across rugged, mountainous terrain without wheels or metal? The towering walls, with stones interlocked in a geometric connection that modern engineers cannot replicate or explain, can only be gazed upon in awe. Leaving behind Peru's extraordinary stone structures, we'll make one final transition, crossing continents to Colombia. Here, thousand-year-old gold sculptures bear a striking, even suspicious, resemblance to modern fighter jets, Colombia's golden flying objects, discovered in 1969, yet dating from 500 to 800 AD. A groundbreaking discovery has shaken the scientific world. While examining pre-Columbian gold figurines, zoologist Yvonne T. Sanderson uncovered something incredibly strange. Their proportions are completely incompatible with any known animal species. They possess angular wings and a vertical stabilizer at the tail. Instead of resembling birds or fish, these objects bear the distinct appearance of miniature delta-wing aircraft models. In 1996, two German aeronautical engineers, Algund Bohm and Peter Belting, conducted a daring experiment. They created exact replicas of the mysterious Colombian gold objects, equipped them with propellers and engines, and then launched them into the air. The results were astonishing. These models not only flew stably and were easy to control, but also exhibited nearly perfect aerodynamic characteristics. These 1,000-year-old gold ornaments from the Tolima and Quimbaya cultures do not merely resemble airplanes. They are crafted with a design structure identical to an aircraft. This raises a significant question. Were they created by chance or by ancient people who possess profound knowledge of the principles of flight? These mysterious artifacts originate from the Tolima and Quimbaya cultures in Colombia, dated to approximately 500 to 800 AD. Dozens of similar figurines have been unearthed from pre-Columbian tombs, often used as pendants or valuable ornaments. Official scientific interest surged in 1969 when Sanderson published her groundbreaking analysis in Pursuit magazine. By 1994, Boehm and Belting had conducted an in-depth aerodynamic analysis at the University of Bremen. 2 years later, in 1996, they successfully built miniature models and made them fly, an achievement documented in detail in the German documentary Übergangs. Currently, these figurines are carefully displayed and preserved at the prestigious Museo del Oro, the Gold Museum, in Bogotá, Colombia. Over 30 similar figurines have been found, originating from the Tolima and Quimbaya cultures, and all have been carbon dated to between 500 and 800 AD. Crafted from cast gold, which is actually tumbaga alloy, these items typically measure 2 to 6 centimeters and were used as pendants or intricate ornaments. However, it is these structural characteristics that astonished and puzzled engineers. The triangular wings positioned at the rear of the body, a vertical tail fin, a horizontal stabilizer at the rear, along with a streamlined, aerodynamically optimized fuselage. Clearly, these are typical characteristics of an aircraft, especially the wing-to-body joints, which all form a perfect right angle. While birds possess curved joints and vertical tails, no flying animal on Earth has such a unique symmetrical triangular shape. Wind tunnel tests conducted at the University of Bremen in 1994 demonstrated that these miniature models have a lift-to-drag ratio similar to aircraft and entirely unlike that of any animal. By 1996, Boom and Belting had successfully built models at a 1.6 scale, and they took off and flew perfectly under remote control. You won't believe your eyes when you discover that these ancient objects are not clumsy gliders, but incredibly stable and controllable flying machines. According to museum display labels, they are classified as stylized representations of birds or insects. Some figurines even clearly depict natural features like eyes and mouths, testifying to an artistic tradition inspired by the animal kingdom. The most popular explanation suggests that these figurines are highly stylized depictions of birds, fish, or insects characteristic of the Colombian ecosystem, possibly flying fish, stingrays, or specific bird species. Pre-Columbian artisans skillfully employed geometric abstraction, simplifying natural forms into basic shapes. It is believed that their aerodynamic properties are merely coincidental. After all, any triangular object with a rear stabilizer would generate some lift when scaled up and fitted with an engine. The astonishing resemblance to modern aircraft actually only reflects our contemporary perspective and interpretation. While it might be a 20th century imposition onto ancient art, the results from tests in the Bremen wind tunnel were anything but coincidental. Engineers meticulously measured crucial parameters such as lift coefficient, center of gravity, and stability derivatives. These figurines achieved impressive scores in the tests, far surpassing even typical stylized bird models. However, this explanation faces many difficulties when confronted with specific details. Why are the wings attached perpendicularly to the body instead of curving naturally like in animals? And why is there a vertical tail fin, a feature completely absent in any known bird, fish, or insect? Compared to the realistic bird sculptures of the Tolima culture, why do these objects possess horizontal control surfaces at the rear? While those other works clearly depict birds, these objects are entirely different. They evoke the image of something completely non-avian. Researcher Lumerji Jungkook conducted extensive comparative studies to clarify this issue. A small group of researchers, primarily engineers rather than archaeologists, has hypothesized that these figurines might be representations of aerial phenomena witnessed by ancient peoples.